Okay, eighth graders, here we are with Australia, Oceania, and Antarctica. We're going to be talking about the physical geography of this geographic region. The first thing we're going to look at here is the map of Australia and New Zealand. If you take a look at the physical geography, you have some of the main points. We have the Great Artesian Basin, we have the Australian Alps, we have the Great Dividing Range. You can see the Great Barrier Reef there under Papua New Guinea. We have New Zealand over there in the southeast, Tasmanian Sea, Tasmania. You can look at how the different elevations work between both New Zealand and Australia. So the land. Australia has many different features for the physical environment. From plateaus and mountains, we have the Great Dividing Range, which is a very high mountain range on the east coast of Australia. The Nullarbor Plain, the treeless land south of the Victoria Desert. Also, the Great Barrier Reef. This is the world's largest coral reef. The coral reef is home to thousands of different aquatic animals. There's also many natural resources in Australia. Those include bauxite, opals, coal, iron ore, zinc, and gold. Oceania. This is thousands of islands. These islands extend millions of miles throughout the Pacific Ocean. Some of the island groups include Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. These are some of the most prominent. Many different types of islands. We have volcanoes, atolls, and continental island groups. Make sure you remember the difference between what a volcanic island is, an atoll, and a continental island. Next, we have the large island of New Zealand. This is located southeast of Australia. New Zealand is a volcanic island with a north and south island group. There are various climate regions, along with open grassy plains and snow-capped mountains. We have a picture here of New Zealand and some of the snow-capped mountains and the open plains. And if you are a fan of the Lord of the Rings movies, then you've probably seen these mountains, because Peter Jackson used New Zealand as the backdrop for Middle-earth in many of the movies, including the new Hobbit movies, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. It's a great place to film. The landscapes are beautiful, and as you can see from this picture, there's a lot to see there. Next, climate and vegetation of Australia, Oceania, and Antarctica. If we start with Australia, Australia has a varied climate that has tropical climates, deserts, and mid-latitude regions. The coast, especially on the southern tip, have a more humid Mediterranean climate, and this is where a majority of the agriculture takes place, here on the coast, where it has a more humid climate. Our next slide looks at the different climate zones for temperatures and humidity. So if you can look at the temperatures, humidity, and it kind of varies from north to south. Remember, Australia is in the southern hemisphere. So you have Oceania and New Zealand. The climate is mostly a tropical wet climate. New Zealand's isolation leads to interesting indigenous plant life. Many of the native trees, the kauri trees, were cut down by the British colonists, and this led to massive amounts of erosion located in New Zealand. We have a couple more pictures of New Zealand that are just breathtaking and beautiful, and I thought they'd be good to include. So make sure you have your interactive notebook done for the next class, and I will see you tomorrow.